They called her dead weight before she even spoke 5 seconds later. They learned how wrong they were. The Salty Anchor was the kind of bar where the floor stuck to your boots and the beer tasted like salt water. 2 miles off Camp Miramar. It was where Navy crews came to drown the noise of missions and medals. On that humid Friday night, every eye tracked the woman in the gray tee who didn't belong. Lieutenant Commander Riley Hart, 12 years in the Navy. 4 deployments. 88 convoy runs through the Khoran corridor, sat alone at the bar. Calm as a drawn blade. LT Marcus Vale spotted her and waved her over. "Guys, this is Lieutenant Commander Hart, ran supply convoys under fire in Khoran." A short laugh came from across the table. Chief Petty Officer Logan Cade Mercer leaned back, grin lazy and sharp. A supply officer. "Cute. You run spreadsheets or sandbags?" Riley smiled, once small. Patient. She'd heard worse from men who mistook silence for weakness. For a second. The bar blurred into dust and heat, the echo of an explosion. The smell of burning metal. Flash and Oshkosh MATV slammed sideways, glass shattering, her driver bleeding out beside her. She gripped the wheel, voice steady over the ANPRC 152. "Convoy net, Delta 3 in contact. 6 vehicles, 1 casualty. Stay online." No panic, no tremor, just order and chaos. The noise of the bar returned. Cade was still talking, still smirking. "Guess PowerPoint's tougher than I thought." Laughter scattered like shell casings. Riley set her beer down, slowly, eyes locked on him steady, unblinking. Her voice was quiet, but it cut through the room. "You think calm means weak? That's your mistake." Cade's grin faltered. "If you want to prove you belong here, Commander, stand up." Riley rose, and the bar went dead silent, every breath held. Every glass frozen mid-air because something in her eyes told them this wasn't going to end the way they thought. Not every hero shouts. Some just get the job done. If you respect the quiet ones, subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. Cade's chair scraped against the floor as he stood, half a grin still hanging on his face. "Didn't mean to scare you, Commander. Just wanted to see if the stories match the attitude." The room shifted. Conversations died. The Salty Anchor was silent in that loaded, pre-fight way. Riley Hart didn't move. Her pulse stayed even. 12 years in the Navy had trained her to read a room like a map: angles, exits, threats. She didn't need to speak to hold her ground. Cade smirked. "Come on. Commander, you ever even been outside the wire?" Riley looked up, eyes calm. 88 times. She said, 6 under contact. Laughter again, brittle and shallow. "Yeah, and how many PowerPoints died in the crossfire?" The laughter echoed for a second, then vanished, replaced by memory. She was back in the Khoran corridor, night black and full of sand. Her convoy of 6 Oshkosh MATVs crawled through the mountain pass, engines barely breathing. Then the world erupted: IED, blinding flash, radio screaming. Delta 1's hit drivers down. Riley didn't freeze. She took the wheel of the second truck, swung into the kill zone, and keyed her ANPRC 152. "Convoy net, Delta 3, defensive perimeter, execute counter-ambush Bravo." Her voice never cracked. Bullets hissed. She rerouted, called medevac, and kept the convoy moving. Minutes later, the sky split open, the CV-22 Osprey dropping in like thunder, tiltrotors whipping the valley. She watched the medics rappel into chaos, pulling the wounded out while she cleared the last ridge. Then silence again. The desert dissolved. She was back in the bar. Cade was still talking, still trying to sound taller than he was. "You know what the problem is, Commander," he said. "You logistics people think planning makes you part of the fight." Riley leaned forward, just enough to close the space between them. "Planning is the fight. It's the reason you make it home." The words hit like a clean shot. The table went still. The jukebox clicked off. Even Cade couldn't find his next line. Then he smiled, reckless, desperate to win something back. Prove it. And right then, everyone in the bar knew things were about to get physical. He moved first. Cade's hand landed on Riley's shoulder, casual, but heavy with challenge. The kind of touch meant to make a point, not contact, around them. The salty anchor held its breath. The room had shifted. Nobody was talking anymore. Riley didn't move. Her voice stayed level. "Take your hand off me, Chief." Cade smirked, leaning in close. "Or what?" The moment stretched thin, then motion. Riley stepped forward, low and fast, the way her father had drilled her in that dusty Spokane garage. Her elbow snapped up under his sternum a short, surgical strike. The sound was real, not cinematic, a sharp grunt of air leaving his lungs. Cade folded forward before his brain caught up, before he could recover. Riley swept his lead leg clean, practiced, and the chief hit the hardwood hard. Glasses rattled. Chairs froze mid-scrape. It was over in 3 seconds. Riley stepped back, palms open, stance relaxed. "I don't want to fight," she said quietly. "Just respect." For a long second, no one spoke. Then a voice came from the back of the table, steady. Calm. Senior Chief Aaron Beck stood, arms crossed, eyes sharp but unreadable. A scar traced his jawline. He'd seen this kind of control before, usually from people you didn't underestimate twice. He looked from Cade to Riley. "Where'd you learn to move like that, Commander?" Riley didn't flinch. "My father was a boxer," she said. "Taught me timing before I ever put on a uniform." Beck nodded slowly. "Timing saves lives." He crouched. Helped Cade up, not out of pity, but principle. Then, loud enough for the bar to hear. "Lieutenant Commander Hart just reminded us of something most forget control beats muscle every time." Cade caught his breath. Pride bruised more than ribs. "Guess I needed that lesson." He muttered. Riley only lifted her glass again, calm like the storm had never happened. Beck lingered a moment, studying her. "We've got a logistics problem in my unit," he said finally. "High-risk resupply. Denied area. I could use someone who keeps their head when it counts." Riley's gaze met his. "You think your CO will approve a liaison after this?" Beck's half-smile carried quiet confidence. "Let me worry about that. You just bring the calm." He slid her his phone. "Call me tomorrow." The jukebox restarted, low and ghostly. Cade sat back down, chastened. Marcus Vale exhaled, half shocked, half awed. Riley set her drink down, left a few bills on the counter, and walked out without a word. Behind her, Beck watched her go, already knowing this wasn't the end of the story. Because the next time they spoke, it wouldn't be about a bar fight, it would be about a mission. Word travels fast in small circles, especially when those circles wear uniforms. 3 weeks after the salty anchor incident, Riley's name started floating through channels she didn't even know existed. Someone higher up had seen the footage. Quiet questions. Quiet approvals. The kind of call that didn't go through paperwork. When her phone finally rang, it wasn't from base housing or any number she recognized. "Lieutenant Commander Hart," a voice asked. "This is Senior Chief Beck. We're wheels up in 12 hours. I'd like you on board." Riley paused. "This isn't about that bar anymore, is it?" Beck's tone was steady. "No, ma'am. This is about who keeps the mission alive when everything else falls apart." 12 hours later, the hangar at Camp Miramar was almost empty except for one machine. The CV-22 Osprey stood in the center like a coiled animal, tiltrotors glinting under floodlights. It was the kind of aircraft built for people who didn't flinch. Riley climbed the ramp, duffel over her shoulder. Inside, the smell of jet fuel and hydraulic oil cut through the chill air. Beck handed her a rugged tablet displaying flight corridors and drop coordinates. "We're running a resupply deep in the Khoran Highlands," he said. "Friendly units pinned. You'll handle the logistics and routing, same thing you did overseas. But this time, you'll be airborne." Riley studied the overlay fuel chains, timing windows, wind drift. "You're trusting a logistics officer with your life, Chief." Beck smirked. "I've seen what happens when you're in charge. That's enough." An hour later, The Osprey lifted off. The tiltrotters roared, transitioning from hover to forward flight, slicing through the dark. Below them, the desert stretched endless and silent. Halfway through the route, the cockpit lights flared red. "Fuel pressure drop number 2 tank," the pilot shouted. Riley scanned the tablet, calculating burn rate and terrain. "Divert east grid Echo 2-1. You've got 5 minutes before you lose range." Beck glanced over his shoulder. "You sure?" "Do it," she said. The Osprey banked hard, wind buffeting the fuselage. Lightning flashed across the ridge ahead, painting the sky white. Then the radio crackled, an unfamiliar, distorted voice breaking through static. "Unidentified aircraft. You are entering restricted airspace. Turn back immediately, or you will be engaged." The pilot froze, eyes darting to Beck. Beck turned to Riley. "We're not supposed to be on anyone's radar." Riley looked down at her screen, no friendly signatures, no IDs. Her pulse didn't change. "Then whoever that is," she said. "They're not who they say they are." And outside, thunder rolled closer. The voice over comms was cold, metallic, too clean to be real. "Unidentified aircraft. This is Khoran Defense Command. You have 30 seconds to turn around or be engaged." The CV-22 Osprey jolted hard as crosswinds hit the valley. The pilot fought the controls. Beck looked back, jaw tight. "We're not supposed to be on anyone's radar." Riley's eyes moved across the tablet, tracing the terrain overlays. "We're not," she said quietly, "which means someone's spoofing us." The voice returned louder, sharper, now counting down. 20 seconds. The pilot's hand hovered over the comm switch. "Commander, orders." Riley leaned forward, voice calm as a trigger pull. "Kill the lights, drop to terrain, passive sensors only." The cabin went dark. Every red indicator blinked out as the Osprey dove, hugging the canyon floor. Dust hammered the hull. Radar ghosts vanished from the screen. For 30 long seconds, no one breathed. The signal vanished. Silence returned except for the steady thump of the tiltrotters fighting gravity. Riley exhaled once. "Stay low and keep moving." Minutes later, dawn bled over the ridgeline. On the tablet, the pinned unit's beacon flickered weakly green dots surrounded by red hostiles. Beck keyed his mic. "Echo team, supply inbound. Hold your line." The Osprey slammed down hard. The ramp dropped before the dust settled. Riley jumped first, boots hitting sand, directing crates and fuel lines while rounds cracked in the distance. No panic, no noise, just precision. She coordinated the offload under fire, marking grid points, shouting calm instructions through the comms. Within minutes, they were airborne again, engines screaming back toward the horizon. Beck turned to her, half grin through the grime. "Remind me never to underestimate a logistics officer again." Riley looked out the window, watching the desert shrink beneath them. "It's never about the title. Chief," she said quietly, "it's about the work that keeps everyone breathing." He nodded, understanding, and the calm that keeps them alive. Back at Camp Miramar, as the Osprey's rotors slowed, Riley stepped onto the tarmac, wind tugging at her sleeve. No medals, no speeches, just silence. She'd proven nothing to the world, only to herself. Because respect isn't earned in noise or glory. It's earned in silence when the only thing standing between chaos and survival is you.